Hello and welcome to another Cuz Bad Guys Tactical Breakdown. Today we're going to go over the Batman miniatures game Deathstroke comic variation. This version of Deathstroke is very reminiscent of the Deathstroke in the Teen Titans cartoon series. It also reminds me a lot of the classic comic book version. This model I've actually painted with a different scheme and as a different character, and we'll go over that at the end of this tactical breakdown, and I'll tell you guys how and why I did that and the way that I play him. So let's go ahead and get right on into his character card. This character is Slade Wilson with the alias of Deathstroke. He is a free agent with an affiliate of Unknown that hates Batman, Green Arrow, and Law Forces. So this guy, he can be taken with any of the bad guy crews, any of them at all. Only hates the good guys because he is an assassin and gets hired to kill people. So, of course, he's not going to get along with any of the good guys. So let's go on to his weapons. So his first weapon is an SMG. It is 2 blood, rate of fire 4, ammo 2, firearm, so damages on a 2+, and is short range, so has a range of 20 centimeters. So this is a short range rapid fire gun, does a ton of blood damage. The 2 blood on it is awesome. His next weapon is a sword, which is pretty standard. It's 2 blood and has the sharp special rule, so is for close combat and can reroll damage. The sweet thing about this guy is that the only kind of damage he does is blood, so you don't have to worry about knocking out guys and then needing to kill them while they're on the ground. This guy does the job all in one go. He just kills you. Let's go ahead and go on to his stats. So willpower 7, which is pretty awesome for a free agent. Really good. He can sometimes be a little short on counters because you want him to do more, but willpower 7 is still really good. He is strength 3+, so he is on par with any of the high-end characters in the Batman miniatures game, on par with Batman and Ra's al Ghul and Bane. He gets the job done with strength 3. He is movement 3, attack 5, defense 4, and endurance 8. So movement 3, it's pretty standard. I wish he was a little bit higher, but movement 3 still works pretty good for this guy. Attack 5 is amazing. People are only going to be blocking him on 5s and 6s, and he can put 5 attacks out on somebody with that sword and do up to 10 damage and just kill somebody outright. He is a beast. This guy kills people. Defense 4. Defense 4 isn't super awesome. Like, I would want a little bit more for his point cost, but Defense 4 still really works with the way that I play this character, and we'll go over that at the end of the video in how to make up for that to make it so this guy doesn't go down too quickly. And then Endurance 8. So Endurance 8 is really good. He is a tank. He can take a ton of damage before he goes down. There's other things that play into his endurance, and we'll go over those in the special traits. So let's go ahead and go right on into the special traits. And his first personal trait is actually going to go right into his endurance, which is sturdy. So sturdy says you lose 1 willpower for every 3 damage you take instead of every 2. So he's going to be keeping those willpower tokens and still be able to activate pretty well during his turn, even if he's taking damage. Really good. His next personal trait is Master Marksman. Master Marksman says when he shoots that SMG, he gets to re-roll to hit. So he is pretty accurate with that SMG. You've just got to be in the sweet spot to be able to shoot it, and you get to re-roll those hits, which is awesome. His next personal trait is Undercover. Undercover means that instead of deploying this guy normally, you can actually hold him off and not deploy him until your opponent has deployed all of their stuff. And then he gets to deploy up to 20 centimeters outside of your deployment zone. So he gets to be sneaky, sneak up on people, get the jump on people, and be put in a really good position at the very beginning of the game, which is great. His next personal trait is Precise Blow. So Precise Blow is actually really good on him because his sword is only sharp. He doesn't get any of those bonuses to hit like Handy or any of those things, but Precise Blow says that if you spend one special before you attack, you get +1 to hit and you get to reroll your collateral die. So that means you get to hit people better on a +1. So if they're defense 4, you hit them on 3s. And then re-rolling the collateral die means you can also get that extra damage in there with a 6. Or my favorite is getting that double, re-rolling and getting that double to knock them down. His next personal trait is Stealth. This helps out with his defense 4, it helps it so he doesn't get shot at. Stealth says that you can only see this guy if you're within 20 centimeters of him or unless he's under light. So makes him ninja stealthy, which is pretty awesome. Helps his survivability quite a bit. His next personal trait is Resilient. Resilient is you get to re-roll your endurance tests. So endurance tests are going to be if you're ever KO'd, like you get knocked out by Batman or somebody, you get to re-roll that test to see if you wake up. It also means that you get to re-roll if you get poisoned. So if the Joker or Poison Ivy tries to poison you with some attack, you get to re-roll your endurance test to see if you shrug off the poison, which is awesome. His last personal trait is Martial Artist, which works really well with him because of his point cost. He's got to be taking on multiple guys at a time, and Martial Artist says that you don't lose defense due to being outnumbered. So he can take on multiple guys at a time and not lose that defense, which is pretty crucial. So let's go on to his reputation. So his reputation cost is 122 points and his funding is $500. So doing a point analysis for this guy, he's a little steep in reputation cost. I would like to see him have another ability like Dodge or Acrobat for paying 122 points because he's just movement 3. He's got to run around cars and stuff. He can't just jump over them, and he has no way of dodging bullets. So 122 points can be a little steep, but his stealth helps him out with that, and then undercover also helps because you put him in the right spot at the beginning of the game, and it can pay off. So I think 122 points is a little steep, but is survivable. Like, he still does his job for how many points you pay. Funding, the $500 is also very steep because normally a $500 gun, which is his SMG, it can push out a ton of damage. It can put out 8 blood, but it's only short range. So you have to be in that sweet spot and not move and shoot it. So it can happen, but almost never does. It's really hard for me to be able to line that up because everybody knows that he's a master marksman. He's going to reroll the hit. It does 4 shots, so could put out 8 blood, and a lot of people would rather deal with his sword than being shot. So the funding can be pretty steep. So let's go over his strengths. So this guy's strengths is that he does nothing but blood damage. When he goes after people and takes them out, they are a casualty, which is what Deathstroke is all about and should be all about. It's a ton of fun to play him. That is a hardcore strength of his. His weakness is something that I've already gone over a little bit, which is his mobility. He isn't an acrobat, doesn't have dodge, can't dodge bullets and stuff. And then he's also pretty much stuck where you put him. He can move around a little bit, but he's got to go around cars. It can just be a little tough playing with him that way. His stealth helps him out a little bit with not being able to dodge bullets, so you've got to make sure to stay out of that range and make sure that you stay out of light. It's really important because he can't dodge those bullets. It's a huge weakness. And the first few times that you play him, somebody's going to get the jump on you with light and shoot this guy, and he is going to die. And you're going to learn that lesson and really take it to heart and you'll see how effective he can actually be when you keep in mind that you've got to stay away from light, you've got to stay out of line of sight of guys that have scopes, that have night vision, because this guy can't dodge bullets. So how do I use this guy on the tabletop? The way I use him on the tabletop, it sounds kind of iffy because he's so expensive, but I use him to guard my opponent's objectives. Because he has the SMG that's short range, I'll stick him in between two objectives that he can have line of sight to, and the objectives are within 20 centimeters. So if my opponent has a henchman that runs up and tries to capture the objective, Deathstroke will just shoot him to death, shoot him down, and just sit there and guard the objectives. And he actually mops up henchmen that run up to their objectives really, really well, especially with the undercover. You put him in the right spot. You can put him up behind a car, use cover to get +1 ping, and then have him sit there and just guard the objectives. He is a huge deterrent to people, and they have to go after him, and he can be a hard nut to crack, because if your opponent only sends regular henchmen after this guy, he is going to take them apart piece by piece, and it won't work. Your opponent has to send somebody like Bane or Batman, some really heavy hitter after him to be able to take him out. And the game Batman is all about objectives, and keeping your opponent off of the objectives is the way to win the game. So keeping him out and keeping him off of the objectives is the thing to do. So this is the comic book art that is the inspiration for my paint job of this Deathstroke. This is actually Grant Wilson, which is Deathstroke's son, and they team up together for a little bit, and then they also fight each other. So having him painted this way makes sense when I end up fighting the two Deathstrokes to each other. I really like that. The other thing that I do is I've played them together. So I'll play the Arkham Origins Deathstroke with the Deathstroke comic book version, with this version, and then Ravager. And that all adds up to, I think it's just under 350 points. And it's a fluffy list. It's not legal because you're taking two Deathstrokes. But with the way that I've painted him, it's just in friendly games, and it's a ton of fun. Total blast to play it this way. So obviously this is the paint job that I've got. I really like the way his mask turned out. It looks super good. All the blues and metals on him, really like the way that they've turned out. And that's it for this tactical take. And remember, 'cause bad guys.